Hello and welcome, fellow motorsports fans. It's been a fantastic few days of racing, and I am here to tell you all about it. Today's highlights include IndyCar at Road America, Formula Regional European Championship at the Hungaroring, British GT at Snetterton, and FIA Karting European Championship at Rotby, Denmark. Off we go! USA. The 8th round of the IndyCar Championship has taken place at Road America, and once again we find Chip Ganassi's Alex Palou on the top step of the podium. It was far from an easy victory though, as Colton Herta looked to be the class of the field until dropping to P5 with questionable strategy choices from Andretti. Joseph Newgarden and Pato Ward complete the podium. Second in the standings, Marcus Ericsson only brought it home in P6, thus increasing Palou's lead to over 70 points. On the second rung of the IndyCar ladder, 18-year-old Nolan Siegel takes the second win in a row ahead of Jacob Abel and Hunter McElrea. Championship rival Christian Rasmussen had a terrible weekend, finishing in P19, which handed over a sizable championship lead to Siegel as well. Tier 3 and 4 of the American Open Wheel ladder also had a pair of races each. USF Pro 2000 saw two new winners, with last year's USF 2000 champion Michael Dorlando winning the first race, while 23-year-old Liram Zandelli won the second race ahead of Brazilian Kiko Porto. USF 2000 sees a continued close championship battle, with leaders Lockie Hughes and Simon Sykes taking a win each, although another second place for Hughes did hand the championship lead over to the young Aussie. Hungary. While the third round of the FRECA season was a bit disappointing for me as a professional Andrea Kimi Antonelli fanboy, it did see a fantastic result for RACGP's Martinius Stenson. The 17-year-old Norwegian keeps building on his surprise win in the season opener and is turning it into a proper championship attempt, bagging both wins at the Hungarian circuit. Havercourt and Ramos completed the podium in race 1. Andrea Kimi Antonelli did hold the lead momentarily, before an unknown mechanical problem dropped him back to P5. Race 2 sees a very different podium constellation, with Prema's Lorenzo Flusha and G-Force Capietto completing the podium. Championship contenders Tim Tramnitz and Kars Havercourt came together in turn 2, ending both of their races and costing crucial points. Thus, the Norwegian talent finds himself leading the championship, while Kimi Antonelli stays ahead of both Havercourt and Tramnitz in P2. Euroformula Open was also competing, holding 3 races for their own third round of the season. Former Nakam F4 champ Noël Léon had another great weekend, slowly building his championship lead. Fan favourite female driver Juju Noda finally managed to make her way onto the podium during the second race as well. The International GT Open round saw a lot of familiar faces at the sharp end. Almana Racing AMG 77 taking the first victory of the weekend and making it on the podium a second time as well. Youngster team Pierre-Louis Chauvet and Maximilian Paul are the big surprise of the weekend, finding themselves on the podium twice in their 51 Oregon team Lamborghini, and even taking the win in race number 2. Championship leaders Optimum Motorsports number 8 on the other hand had a meh weekend. P4 twice is a good result on paper, but it did allow other teams to close the gap. The TCR World Tour also had their next stop at the Hungaroring, during which Sign Racing had a fantastic weekend to win both races, with both Erlacher and Björk leading their respective race wins flag to flag. Former championship leader Michelish had a weekend to forget, missing out on the podium in race 1 and getting collected by another incident in race 2. This not only hands the lead over to Erlacher, it also brings teammate Ascona a lot closer despite the use of team orders last round at Vallelunga. Young Kobe Powles took the TCR Europe win in both races. UK. British GT saw another big weekend at Snetterton. The 2Cs Motorsports AMGs could continue to go toe-to-toe for the championship, but the big winner of the weekend was Barwell Motorsports. The Lamborghini number 78 took a flag-to-flag win in race number 1, thanks to a fantastic drive from both Sean Balfe and Sandy Mitchell. Considering the season they had so far, this is a massive step. Century Motorsport BMW number 91 needs to be considered as well, as young Dan Harper managed to charge the thing all the way to P2 in race 1. Race 2 saw a full Mercedes podium, with Ram Racing number 15's Marcello and Ferguson taking the win, ahead of the pair of 2Cs AMGs. Crucially, Johnny Adam, James Cottingham and the number 4 did manage to beat sister car number 1 both times, increasing their championship lead. One even dropped to P3 in the standings, behind the Century Motorsports 91 BMW. For some more feeder series news, 17-year-old Irishman Alex Dunn managed to take the lead in the GP3 Championship ahead of more experienced Callum Voisin. It was an odd weekend of the series, as none of the favourites managed to achieve a win. At least James Hadley had his best weekend since the opening round in March. Polish fan favourite Timek Kucharek had a rough weekend. Some dodgy racecraft allowed him to only score once over the 3 races. Tom Mills extends his championship lead in GB4 ahead of young Aussie Cooper Webster and American Colin Queen. The trio kept up their entertaining battles at the sharp end of the grid. Exciting young talent Freddie Slater, meanwhile, set a new record for wins during a single Ginetta Junior season, as he completed the hat-trick to bring him up to 14 wins. The previous record was 12, and there is still almost half a season left. I for one cannot wait for his single-seater debut. Denmark. The third round of the European Karting Championship took place in Rugby for the categories OK and OK Junior, as well as the second round of the Academy Trophy. My anticipated battle for the OK category between Prema drivers Keith Nakamura-Berta and Alex Powell did not disappoint, with the pair having a few close battles, which Powell ultimately decided for himself. René Lammers wins his second final of the season ahead of Gabriel Gomez, and thus retakes the championship lead from the Italian in the process. In OK Junior, young Ukrainian Alexander Bondarev keeps going with his comeback story arc, taking a commanding win and also a commanding lead in the championship, which is unlikely to change with only one round left. Kart Republic had a fantastic weekend in general, occupying all 3 podium positions in the OKJ final, with Antonov and Martinez bringing it home behind Bondarev. Costa Costoia ends up as best of the rest in his Parolin. Greek driver Vasilios Apostolides ended up taking the win in the Academy Trophy ahead of P2 Walton and P3 Panetta. Round 1 winner Norwegian Barry Berg was in win contention but got dropped out of the top 10 with a penalty. Dutch youngster Rocco Coronel found himself in a similar position. Thus, Australian Max Walton takes over the championship lead. And now for our quickfire around the world segment. Formula 1. In the least surprising result of the week, Max Verstappen took yet another victory in his Red Bull, increasing his massive championship lead even further. Alonso and Aston Martin could indeed fight back immediately against the improved Mercedes package. The Spaniard was able to take home P2 ahead of rival Hamilton, who completed the podium in P3. Mercedes second man Russell looked to make it a 2v1 against Alonso before colliding with the wall on the exit of turn 4. Aston Martin's Lance Stroll suffered from poor qualifying and had no impact on the podium battle. Ferrari made the best of a poor quali and actually ended up beating Perez with both cars. Albon managed to drag the Williams into the points and defended P7 over a long and painful stint to take Williams' best result of the season. MotoGP. The Ducati domination continued at the Sachsenring, with 8 out of the top 10 positions occupied by the Italian manufacturer. It was not Banaya's factory bike though that took the top step of the podium, as Jorge Martin beat the Italian on both Saturday's sprint and Sunday's GP. Teammate Zarco completes the podium, making it an excellent weekend for Pramac. This also keeps the championship battle alive, as Jorge Martin takes the second spot, only 16 points behind Banaya. Australia. The Supercars Championship keeps delivering in the battle between defending champions Triple Eight with Shane Van Gisbergen and Brooke Feeney versus Erebus Motorsports points leader Brody Kostecki and runner-up Will Brown. The real story of the weekend though was surely Mark Winterbottom taking his first win since 2016 in the first race of the weekend. SuperFormula. Miata takes a second season victory ahead of P2 Nugiri and P3 Makino. Fan favourite Liam Lawson had to settle for P5, which handed over the championship lead to Miata as well. Stay tuned for a close championship battle. Staying in Japan, but over in the world of the SRO Championships, the second round of the GT World Challenge Asia happened at Fuji, which coincided with the first round of the Japanese Cup in the series. The grid thus grew to a massive 35 GT3 cars with various different manufacturers present. Bingo Racing number 9 took their first win for a Corvette C7 in any SRO series in race 1, while the rather famous D-Station Aston Martin, piloted by Hoshino and Fuji, took the win in race 2. The GT World Challenge America round at VIR saw a debut victory for the new TR3 racing lineup, as Daniel Morak got a new co-driver for the number 9 AMG in the form of Cook. The pair immediately won their first race on Saturday, while Pro-Am entry CrowdStrike 04 AMG took the overall victory in race 2. Fan favourite Samantha Tan in her 38 BMW also had her best weekend of the season, taking an overall P2 in the second race. NLS. Last but not least, the fourth round of the NLS season on the famous Nürburgring Nordschleife took place as well. The top class had a rather underwhelming grid though, not entirely unexpected since the big 24-hour race is already behind us, but Valkenhorst BMW 34 at least continued its good season, with Gimasiak and Kronos taking the second win for the team. Driver of the Week. It was a tricky choice to make, but Martinius Stenshorn is my driver of the week. Not only did he manage to take both wins in a very competitive junior series, but did so in a season where nobody had massive expectations for him. He also had to beat very experienced teammate and championship contender Tim Tramnitz to do so. Overall, a basically flawless weekend from the exciting Norwegian prospect. Next week, we'll see another ton of racing. Highlights include not only the 6 hours of Watkins Glen over in IMSA, but also the 12th round of the Formula E Championship, the second round of DTM, as well as an absurd amount of feeder series, with the ever-competitive Italian F4 Championship as my big highlight in that regard. I'm looking forward to telling you all about it next week. Until then, take care and remember, racing is more than just F1.